Hey, thanks so much for finding the video. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. Be sure to leave your comment. We love to interact. Enjoy the video. I guess go back to the Bears game just for a minute before we move forward, which is really where I'd like to focus. But we all hoped the scoreboard would be more lopsided after that first half, but the game was never really in doubt. What was your biggest takeaway from the game? Defensive dominance or the offensive rust?
If you're going to make me pick one or the other, I'd probably say the defensive dominance because that was consistent throughout the game until the very end. I mean, look, it took the Bears 58 minutes to convert a third down into a first down. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. And so I think that's been consistent. Now, offensively, I think it's good that they were able to get themselves together after halftime. And, man, if they could put together 3 or 4 of those almost half of a quarter type drives against teams in the postseason and score touchdowns, I think that's the making and the recipe for going quite a long way. So, but if you're going to make me pick one, I think the defensive performance. Look, the Saints can score a few points. If the defense can play lockdown, lights out, they've got a really good shot.
Man, I was also really interested when Bruce Arians met with the media. They asked him what receiver that he was really fearing, and he didn't say Michael Thomas. He said Deonte Harris. Is it realistic to think that Deonte Harris can carry over the performance against the Bears into this Sunday's game against the Bucs?
Well, he didn't score a touchdown, so there's room for improvement, right? But look at it in terms of, all right, is he going to be targeted double-digit times and catch every one of them? I mean, I can't foresee that. But I do think it's an element that Tampa or really anyone else that the Saints have faced, or even what they put on film this year, that the Saints have done that extensive of offensive playing time with Deonte Harris. And look, remember going into the season how many people were thinking, oh, maybe he could be Tyreek Hill and be disinvolved in the offense. I mean, I never thought that would be the case. But you could tell that something's there with Drew Brees and Deonte Harris and his speed. I mean, he could break through coverages. And if your boy Taysom Hill doesn't hold the ball too long, then we are talking a touchdown. So you see how I spun it back to you and said he's your boy. He's your bestie. He's just like Mac Jones is your bestie. And Kyle Trask.
And we'll get to all that, all right? We'll get to all that. Don't trigger me yet, all right? We got time.
I would never trigger you, Matthew. Right. I'm just an unassuming soul.
Yeah. You know me too well as an emotional Italian guy that whenever you get me rolling, I'm just a hothead and I'm just going to start yelling. So let's not go there yet. So that way we stay on task here, Larry, and still get some things done for the benefit of our audience instead of just hearing me yell.
I like you yelling, but okay, we'll do it. That's all right.
All right, so it's going to be Saints Bucs for the third time. Much ado about how hard it is to beat a team 3 times 1 year, yada, yada, yada. What do you make of that?
I'm 1,000% with you. The Saints did it 3 years ago in the playoffs against a team, and they beat them 3 times because they match up well against Carolina that year. Guess what? They match up well still against Tampa right now. So even if it's a closer game, it still points to the Saints. So I am not going off the deep end with that. And also, when you look at the way Tampa and their offense go, they are one of the teams that they don't do a lot of changing up. I mean, they run the same things at you, and it's something that I know some of the I would say intelligent talking heads bring up all the time, how there's not a ton of creativity with that offense. So I think that's another advantage where the Saints come in and their defense can slow down and even get pressure on Tom Brady, even though the pressure hasn't been as prevalent since week 9 when the Saints did it to him the last time.
Okay, so, and Larry Holder is our guest, theathletic.com/New Orleans on Twitter at Larry Holder. Jog my memory, what was the biggest difference in the game, either side, week 1 to week 9, Saints Bucs?
Drew played better. There's no doubt. Drew was shaky that first week. And at least in the second game, Alvin Kamara was a bit more of a presence because if you remember, he scored a couple times in week 1, and yet he rushed for 16 yards, and he was not running through them. So I feel like that the Saints, offensive line-wise, they were able to get more on the Bucs defensive front and that sort of thing. So, and obviously you look at, defensively to score-wise, look, the Saints really put it on them, obviously, in Week 9.
Is there reason to believe that the Saints can continue to pressure Tom Brady the way they did the first two matchups? So we ran through the stats yesterday, Larry. 3 sacks in each of the games, 7 hits the first game, 9 quarterback hits the second game, 2 picks the first game, 3 the second game. It was all about pressure. Is there reason to believe that they can do that a third time?
There is reason to believe, but I do think that Tampa has changed up a little bit. They've actually Gronk stayed back from running more routes and kind of having him be a sixth blocker. That could easily be the case here, and maybe they run Cameron Brate more on routes. He was more prevalent against Washington. But the key thing here is Trey Hendrickson going to be there? He ate up Donovan Smith twice. Missed this past week with a neck injury. I am not totally confident that he can return this week. We need to see how he does in practice, but he was a big key to that. So if you don't have Trey Hendrickson, you're leaning on Marcus Davenport and Carl Granderson opposite Cam Jordan to make that happen. And so if there's any question, it's more about Trey Hendrickson. Can he get back, and how do they replicate if he cannot get back?
What do you have on Hendrickson?
It's a stinger, and it's where he re-aggravated in practice. And like I said, from people I've talked to, they are leery on him coming back this week. And so that's why I'm wondering, what do the Saints do? How do they handle this? Maybe they start moving Cam Jordan to the side where Donovan Smith is to get him away from Tristan Wirfs, who's had a good year. So I think these are some things they're going to have to tinker with if Hendrickson can't play.
Is this a game where you feel the absence of Quan Alexander?
I don't think so. I think that the Saints, the fact that their secondary as a whole, I think that's good. Alex Anzalone's been okay. So that's fine. The fact that Demario Davis is still there, I think that helps. But you're going to have to lean, if you're talking to Quan Alexander, if you're talking in coverage, you're going to have to lean on C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Malcolm Jenkins, who actually has not been too bad in coverage this year. And if you're talking, say, in run support, you're going to want Malcolm Brown to be ready to go, Sheldon Rankins, David Onyemata. And look, remember the last game, the Bucs ran it 4 times, and a 5th time was a kneel down at the end of the game. And so they ran it a lot with Leonard Fournette against Washington. I'm wondering if they try to get Leonard, or if Ronald Jones can play a little bit more involved.
A couple more minutes here with Larry Holder, theathletic.com/New Orleans. He's on Twitter @LarryHolder. Which side of the ball do you think has the greater question mark on Sunday? Is it the Saints' ability to move the ball, or the Saints' ability to slow Tampa?
I think it's going to be still the Saints' ability to move the ball. I know they were able to get 4 touchdowns and still Drew only threw for like 200-something yards against Tampa. I want to see them come out and be quick strike, and let's get Alvin Kamara rolling. Like I said, he wasn't exactly rolling in either Tampa game. And so you also have to look at up the middle. Can Cesar Ruiz play more like he did in the second half, or less like he did in the first half against Chicago? Because Tampa's defensive front, they're not as ferocious as, say, Akeem Hicks, but they're still a very good unit. And actually, they're one of the better pass rushing teams in the league, with, I think it's 49 sacks, near the top of the league in the regular season.
All right, one more on Saints Bucs. What do you do with Will Lutz?
I've been wrestling back and forth just because, do I trust Blair Walsh? No. But if Will Lutz keeps missing kicks, he misses a kick this week, the season could be over. Yeah. So, it's something that I don't envy Sean Payton here, and it's because it's almost like when you get toward the back end of Garrett Hartley's career. You think of him had made so many kicks, and then he starts going off the rails, and then you got to cut him. I don't think Will Lutz is there yet, but it changes the way you coach. It changes your approach, in fourth down situations. Do you have confidence in him? Do you go for two if you don't think he can even make an extra point? I mean, the fact that they're wondering that is a problem. And man. I'd go with Lutz, but look, it's a dicey situation at this point.
You think in a normal, if they had confidence in Lutz, and I've pointed this out, the first drive of the game, the Saints penetrate and get to the Bucs or the Bears 38-yard line and punted. They punted from the Bears 38. I mean, obviously they had confidence in their defense, but in a normal situation, Larry, you're lining up and kicking a field goal with Will Lutz there, aren't you?
I think maybe not in a normal situation.
Oh, man.
I think
Lutz from 55? I'm not saying he's like automatic, but that's something that
maybe in the regular season, yes. I think that Sean Payton did not want to maybe give the Bears a shorter field and give them any light. And I think that is my rationalization with it. Less to do about Lutz having the yips, more to do about let's make the Bears drive all the way down the field on their first drive if they're going to score points. And they didn't, and then the Saints got the ball back and scored. So that's where I'm coming from. I can see where you're coming from. I get it. I'm leaning more towards, all right, make the Bears offense drive all the way down the field at the beginning of the game because they didn't believe that they could do it.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.